Welcome to the Uplifters podcast, where we talk to uplifting women who are doing big, brave things in the world. Today, we're talking to Dawn Veselka, who, with her daughter Sadie, co-founded Cards2Warriors, an organization that sends greeting cards filled with love, hope, and cheer to people who are battling long-term illnesses and to their support teams.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn's first big goal for her team is to send 100,000 cards. I'm not battling a long-term illness. I am doing my own hard, big, brave things.
Mm-hmm.
And Dawn generously sent me a couple of her cards. And I have to say that I found it just incredibly moving and meaningful to receive these messages. So Dawn, thank you for all that you're doing in the world. And thank you for taking time out to hang out with us.
Oh, thank you, Aranzas. I am just tickled and delighted to be invited to talk to you today. I love what you're building. I think you're such a bright light in this world that's a little cloudy. And so I'm just so honored. Thank you so much for having me today.
It is absolutely my joy. And I think we have to start with how Cards2Warriors started.
Right. So, Sadie is my daughter, and she was diagnosed with chronic illness and rare disease at age 4. It took a while to get her diagnosed. And then just over the course of her journey, we've been at this over 15 years now. We always wanted to do something to help. And we did things along the way, raising money, gas cards to help people get to treatments and all different kinds of things. But what we really landed on was sometimes people just need to know that they're doing good and that somebody's thinking about them and that somebody cares. And so with a card, we call it magic mail, just showing up in their mailbox randomly when they're not expecting it is like, it's like Christmas morning. It's like a little present nestled in amongst the insurance statements and, all the medical stuff that comes when you're navigating an illness. And it's so small and simple, yet it has such a big tangible impact. And it's something that we could do. We're not a big organization. There's amazing organizations doing advocacy and funds for a cure. But sometimes somebody just needs help right in that moment when they just think they can't do one more day. So that's our niche. That's where we landed. And that's what we're doing.
It's so cool. And I love to going back to what you said about bright light in a cloudy world.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly what you are for these families and their caregivers. And I imagine it really makes them feel seen in that. And instead of people just looking at the disease, it's really looking at, and the treatment and sort of all these, and the payments and all these like really tactical things. It's looking at who's this person having a really human experience and how can I just let them know that they're cared for. So now, how old is Sadie these days?
Sadie, oh my gosh. Sadie just turned 21 on Saturday. 21. Yeah, I know. Can you believe it? I'm still in shock myself how fast it goes. You have kids, you know how you turn around and so much time has passed. But yes, she just turned 21. She is my little Peter Pan. She's just a beautiful soul. And with everything that she's been through, she's innately joyful and she's her own bright light. And so that's my girl.
How did you settle on cards?
I think I always loved mail as a kid. Yeah. And then I always would send, I'm one of those people that everybody tells everything to, whether I'm standing in the grocery store line or, whatever, wherever I am in the world, somebody's telling me something about themselves and sharing some secrets or sharing their journey or something. So people just always told me stuff ever since I was a little kid. And so I just think that mail was a way to just let anybody feel seen or appreciated or, just drop a little love on them. So I think I've always loved mail. It's become old school now. And I think, there's just nothing personal about an email. There's nothing personal about, even if it's a GIF or something you create, but when you open a card and you touch it and you feel it and you sit it on your table and it's right there all the time, that tangible reminder. So that's really what I loved. And we have patients with no support teams that literally take their cards with them to the hospital and put them up on the walls like they're friends, so that they can be reminded that somebody's with them on their journey.
Yeah. And not everyone has the great fortune of having a full support team and an
Right.
amazing mom who gets it and advocates for them. And as I hear about stories like yours, like your job was full-time radiologist and mom. You were
Yeah,
not in
radiation therapist,
radiation
actually.
therapy. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the little bit different. It's okay. Treating cancer patients is the difference.
And so you were not in fulfillment. You were not in an operations role. You weren't in
No.
fundraising. And all of these
Right.
are things you've had to learn. And we had the great joy of hosting another woman on the show that I just adore, whose project is called Gifts No One Asked For.
Mm.
And after her mom passed, she wanted to carry on her mom's legacy of spreading love. And so she just started this Instagram and said, hey, I make art and I'm not very good at art and it's not like my thing, but I
Yes.
like doing it. It feels good to me. And so
Yes.
I'd like to share it with other people just to spread a little joy. And so she figured out how to get names and addresses and mail things. And
Right.
she made mistakes and it was super inefficient. And then it got better. And now she sends thousands of pieces of art around to people.
Yeah.
And so I imagine that you went through a similar journey of like, I love this idea. I can figure out how to do it for one person. I go to the store and buy a card. But how do I do it for thousands of people? How do I
Right.
fundraise for this? So how did you work through, like, what is your process through working through what you don't know?
That's a great question. And I'll take it even back a step further. So, I'm of that generation that we didn't have computers in school. We had typing class, right? And I think my senior year, they had word processing, which I didn't take. And I laughed because I went from that. And then I transitioned over the next few years and became a radiation therapist. Well, we run linear accelerators and all this specific equipment to treat cancer patients. I didn't even know how to use a PC. This is going back a ways, but I didn't, I wasn't on Word and Google. I wasn't a techie. And so, I've learned over the years. And, but when we started this, you would think snail mail, piece of cake, write it out, send it, put a stamp on it. The
And is
hardest
that
thing
what
is
it
going to
was?
be
Did it start
going.
with like you and your daughter writing the letters?
Yeah, and we supported. Denise Archia had started a warrior card swap, which was a card swap back and forth between illness warriors, which we have since purchased and put under our nonprofit umbrella. So everything around cards goes under our umbrella. But so we saw the impact of the cards, and it started as handwritten cards. And we have a whole crew of people who write them with us, which is just really cool. And then we also have our printed cards. They're themed and they go out 5 times a year so that we can send a big batch all at once. And we've done a lot of work to make them as personal as possible, even though they're mass produced. But there's so much tech involved. There's so much security, protecting people's information, making sure they can change it. Oh yeah. Yeah. When you need, $30,000 to build your tech to send cards, it doesn't compute, but, it's been a learning process, and I've learned a million ways that didn't work. And, we finally got everything in place that is working really good. We have next step, our roadmap to what we're going to do next with it, but we can serve as many illness warriors and caregivers as want to sign up with us. So we're ready.
So most of us, though, I think get stopped by the like, I don't know how to do it. Well, hopefully somebody else will solve that problem. And so what I really want to understand is your process. How do you go from I don't understand how
Yeah.
to, well, I'll figure out how?
So, well, first you have to own it because nobody's going to show up and do it for you unless,
Like, oh, not knowing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just own that somebody's got to take the responsibility for figuring it out. And
Mm.
so for me, that was me. And so it was like, I knew it was going to be hard, and you just have to go into it knowing you don't have the answers, and you may fail 50 times, but you're going to get it figured out, and you just can't stop. So I
Mhm.
think that's the persevering part. Is the biggest key. You just keep trying, and if that doesn't work, everything's figure outable, right?
Mhm.
To quote Marie Forleo. But it is, and we can do hard things. We do hard things every single day, and it's just a matter of not stopping.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I wish I had a bestie that was techie, but that would have made life a whole lot easier. But she's worse than me, so that wasn't any help. But
She probably has other skills though that were
she's
invaluable.
amazing. She's amazing. She's a nurse, and she's amazing. She's fantastic. But yeah, neither one of us had the tech skills. So if you're lucky enough to have people in your inner circle that have the skills that you don't, I highly recommend that. But and I think part of it comes from persevering with my daughter's illness.
Mhm.
Like giving up when you have a kid with an illness that you just can't. There's no. It doesn't. Whatever. Regardless. Whether your kid has an accident and you have to run them to the emergency room, it doesn't matter how tired you are, how whatever. It's
Mhm.
like you just do it, right? And then if you have a kid that's living with illnesses, like yeah, it's quitting isn't an option.
Well, I love that example too, because in both of these, I think it starts with why, right? So you had a very
Mhm.
strong mission and purpose. And
Mhm.
and for most of us, that's where it begins is okay, I'm gonna get really clear on why this is worth
Mhm.
doing hard things for.
Mhm.
And then it's looking at what resources do I have around me that are available? What resources are missing? And
Mhm.
how do I enlist support to create this change? But the other thing I'm noticing more and more in my conversations with women who are doing big brave things is that it takes leaning into problems.
Yeah, reframing as it's not failing, it's learning,
Uh-huh.
and growth. Whether you're an athlete and pushing your muscles or you're learning something new, it's never easy. So don't expect it to,
Uh-huh.
just expect that it's going to be a challenge, and that, it's when you don't do it right, you just learn another way to do it. You learn, okay, that doesn't work. Now let's try something else.
Yeah. And it is sort of that relentless learning
Mhm.
pursuit. And I think when we get caught up in the this is really hard story or the I'm
Mhm.
not ready story or the I don't know how story, those are all just limiting beliefs that
Mhm.
then become inaction
Right.
as opposed to the questions which become action. How do I figure this out? How do
Mhm.
I turn
Mhm.
this idea into a set of actions?
Exactly. And it's not like, I can't do this. That's what we all want to say. And
Uh-huh.
then it's like reframing to, I just haven't figured it out yet. I
Mm.
still haven't figured it out. We're getting there, but I haven't figured it out. And I think having something that anchors you to a purpose really strongly
Mhm.
um, is makes a big difference as well. And for me, it was tethering to the pain of the isolation of caregiving for my daughter. And everything she and I
Mhm.
walked through in her early years. We couldn't have done this in the early years of everything. But what drives me is knowing that that card is going to show up, and I trust the timing of the universe that it shows up exactly when it's meant to give the greatest wind beneath the wings for the person that receives it, and gives them that oomph to push over whatever's hard in their day, that week, that time, whatever, that they're just going to feel the outpouring of love that comes through this piece of paper that comes in the mail.
How beautiful is that?
Hmm.
Yeah. And I love
Thanks.
that idea of tethering to purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you, it was remembering your own experience and
Mm-hmm.
that naming that feeling of
Mm-hmm.
isolation. Do you now have stories that sit front and center that drive you forward?
Yes, for sure. Probably the most poignant one is I got an email. We'll see if I can do this without crying. But I got an email from a girl that her name was Alyssa. She was in Canada, and her email said, I have less than 2 months to live. And she wasn't afraid of dying. She'd been doing this for a long time. And hers, you know, when you live with an invisible disease, if you have cancer, everybody understands, oh, it could be terminal. And there's, there's so much more empathy around it. But when you never look sick, it's just different. Mm-hmm. So she was reaching out for support. She's like, your cards have meant a lot. And if you guys could just support me as I die, I would be so grateful. And don't be afraid to talk about it, because I'm not afraid of it, but I just would like some support. So, of course, we rallied the troops, which would be our card. We have a huge card crew, and most of them are made up of illness warriors, because I believe that everyone can give. Even if you're bedridden, you still deserve an opportunity to make somebody else's day, to get those serotonin and dopamine hits, to know that you did something good in the world, even from your bed or even from the couch. And so we have a huge card crew made up of illness warriors all over the world. And so, we just put out the call to them, and cards just started showing up from all over the world to Alyssa's room. Oh, and she passed. And, sometimes you just get those little hits of things you should do. And so one of the things she said was she loved animals. She didn't want to die alone. And we didn't have much time, because from Florida to Canada is tricky to get mail there, right? In a time when you have I think we had a 5-week deadline by the time we knew about this, maybe 4 weeks. So in addition to the cards going, I also just put out a call and said, listen, if you're willing, grab your nearest pet, take a picture, and either do the heart hands or the I love you sign and send it to us. We're going to make her a banner to go in her room. And so this is not our typical support, but this was end of life support that we did for her. We must have gotten 40 or 50 pictures. So I put them in a box with one of those fairy light strings that you can clip, because I wanted to make it easy. And I sent it off on UPS on a wing and a prayer. Do you know that thing got from Orlando to Canada in 2 days? I don't know how it got there that fast, other than miraculous. And they put it up, and then cards came from around the world. And about a month after she passed, her mom reached out and asked to speak to me. And we had a beautiful conversation.
That's amazing.
I know, right? And she said, I put out a call to everyone we know when Alyssa was dying, to all of her friends, and no one came. No one came. It's too hard to sit in that space. And so she said, and then here comes cards from people all over the world who were her friends, and then pictures all over her room. She said she didn't die alone. So it was beautiful. And the really cool full circle thing. Well, one, she said what Alyssa wanted when she died was she wanted flowers, I think her dog and her family, and she wanted fairy lights. We didn't know that. And we sent fairy lights. She's like, and then she's like, Dawn, I got this box with fairy lights and pictures. And I was like, I wasn't sure why I was supposed to send that. I just knew that's what was supposed to go. And then she said when Alyssa was sick, like probably 2.5 years before that, before she got really bad, she had tried to start her own pen pal card thing. And she said Alyssa worked so hard on it. She said she just couldn't get people to engage. And she sent out like hundreds of letters, and nobody ever wrote her back. And she was devastated. And her mom, Heather, was like, I felt bad that I should have helped her, and maybe we should have continued it. And I said, she put all of that out, and it came back all at once, right when she needed it. So, okay, we didn't do it without crying, but we love you, Alyssa.
Okay. That's right. And look at Alyssa's ripples continuing.
I know, right? So that's a case, those just come in case by case. But then, we've got another girl who's like, she's been bedridden. Like, she was going to be a scientist, like discovering cures for things, and she can't get out of bed. She's just, and then she's in so much pain. They, sometimes they just don't know what to do, and they just leave. And so, she gets cards from us, and she said, every time I want to give up, I get a card. So those, from those to the ones who, we have warriors who are working full time, but they aren't seen at work. Nobody understands what they're going through. So when something shows up, it just reminds them, hey, you're doing a great job. We see you. We believe in you. We're championing you wherever you are on this journey. So,
How beautiful. And to let these people feel, as you said, seen and appreciated
yeah, and loved.
and loved. I have to say too, I am still a little bit stuck too on the bravery Alyssa showed by just
Right.
asking for what she needed.
Right. Right. So we have we have our what we call our Warriors in Crisis program, and that's where a person can be nominated by themselves or a loved one, and we encourage them to nominate themselves because we want them to ask for help when it's tough. We want them to give themselves permission to say, "Hey, I need a little bit of extra support right now." And so I've found over the years of doing this that women especially have a hard time asking for help. And so caregivers, we support caregivers, and they won't sign up. Somebody needs it more. Oh, it's okay. It's
Uh-huh.
okay. Or even
Somebody needs it
illness
more.
warriors. They're like, somebody needs it more than me.
Need
Save
it
it for
more.
someone who needs it. And I'm like, you
Mm-hmm.
deserve it. Sign up. You deserve it. You're going to get it when you need it most. But everyone deserves that opportunity to feel that joy and to feel that love. And, especially the handwritten cards that come from other illness warriors, or we have high school and college students across the country that volunteer with us to earn service hours. And we're teaching them how to talk to someone who lives with an illness, and they're earning service hours, and a lot of them are going on into health professions. And so we feel like it's just going to show them both sides of this, going to make them better because they'll already know the right way to talk to somebody that lives with an illness or rare disease.
Goodness on top of goodness on top of
I
goodness.
know, it's just layers, right? So,
Yes.
yeah.
And there's
But
no way you could have known it would be all of this.
no, never. And the ripples are beautiful.
So you've taken this from something beautiful. My daughter and I are going to send these cards to people.
Uh-huh.
That's all the roots of this, right? It's
Right.
connection, it's seeing them, it's giving a sense of purpose both to your pain
Right.
and your challenge and putting that to good use and impact, but also giving you a sense of positively impacting others. But it's gone so far beyond you and Sadie writing cards.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think that scale piece is really scary for people and for
Mm-hmm.
uplifters. I think
Right.
oftentimes the most challenging is the how do I get the financial support to
Yes.
do this? And you have
Mm-hmm.
some big donors who are helping to make this
Yep.
possible.
We do.
How did you get past your own doubts and fears
Mm-hmm.
to enlist that support? Talk about asking for help.
Right. Well, first, I think it's always easier when the ask is for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. For something you
Right?
really believe in.
Yes,
Yep.
for something you really believe in. And um, I remember back at the beginning, we were trying to raise $5,000 to build the website and the tech, the initial version. And people just said, why you're sending cards, why do you need tech? And it was just relationship building. And we found the most beautiful local foundation called the Harper Family Charitable Foundation. They're local, and the head of the family at the time, he's since passed, but he loves mail. He loves mail. Every card we ever sent them, he would forward it on to his best friend who lived in West Virginia. Isn't that the cutest thing you ever heard? And he was like 80 something years old. But we found a champion in him. And so we wouldn't be here without his foundation and his beautiful family that supports us. Every time we've gotten to where we need to build something more, they've helped us a lot. So, they're just an amazing organization. And so finding either a company or a foundation or a person who just gets what you're doing and believes in it just as much as you, that's not easy. But
Mm-hmm.
once you do, then that makes it a whole lot easier. But the bigger you grow, the more you need. So you've got to keep adding to your base of people who are supporting you.
Mm.
And so that's been tricky. We also had the Horizon organization, Horizon Pharmaceuticals. They've since been bought by Amgen, but they're an amazing patient-centered pharma company, which is they were super special. So they were a big part in helping us get built as well. So now we're on the hunt for new ones because we're going to lose some of the ones that we have. And the other thing we do is we do $5 fundraisers, right? Because everyone can do something little, and I feel like everybody's busy. Everybody's got a crazy life. Everybody has things that speak to their heart. So if we can make it easy, if I tell you, hey, if you donate $5, you're going to make sure 2 cards get sent to someone who's living with a long-term illness or caring for someone with a long-term illness. And you can just grab your phone and Venmo or Zelle us $5 and then keep bebopping along your day knowing that, oh my gosh, I just brightened 2 people's lives. Like, what's easier than that? And what's just better than something that, you can just drop some love and keep on going. So that's a big thing that we do as well.
That's pretty amazing. And I think you're right. We all want to do good. We don't always know how. We get overwhelmed by the scale of the problem. We get overwhelmed by the number of problems in the world.
Right.
And
and if you watch the news, you'll just end up in a little puddle,
paralyzed.
Not good for anything, right?
Yes. Yes.
I learned that treating cancer patients. I quit watching the news 20 some years ago. And I realized that I couldn't be present and give them everything that they needed if I was too buried in all of the big problems of the world. And so if something important was going on, they told me. They all watched the news, so they kept me current, but I didn't have to take it all in myself. And I feel like that was a gift from, during the time that I treated them. And I've just carried that through with me. It's all going to happen whether I'm looking at it or not. And so staying very present and focusing on the good that we can do just helps us make a difference in our life and those around us.
Yeah. And I think keeping it really active instead of getting caught up in all the questions and what we can't do.
Right. Yep. And I feel like too, people have things that speak to their heart. Everyone's called to do something different. And so it's okay. If somebody wants to come write cards, awesome. If somebody wants to go and support, whatever, as long as everybody listens to their heart and goes and follows that, just think what a beautiful world this would be. So we champion everybody, no matter what speaks to their heart, just like we champion everyone. We're not disease specific. And that's something that makes us very unique in all of the nonprofit arenas, is that because Sadie's diseases was a mix of diseases, she didn't really fit anywhere with the nonprofits. And so getting support for her was a little bit tricky. In all the time that we've been doing this, we've only met one other person that had the same mix of diseases as hers. And so it was just really important to me as we were building this that everybody had a safe place to come. So regardless of if you're living with one of the 7,000 rare diseases, 95% of which have 0 treatments. Can you imagine that? 95% have no treatment options. If you're dealing with one of those, if you're dealing with one of more common diabetes or arthritis or any of those, or you're just trying to get answers, it takes a lot of times 7 years to get diagnosed. As an adult, it can be 7 to 10 years easy to get a complete diagnosis, during which time you have no treatment. So I'm like, hey, come over here. We'll take care of you. You can join us. You can get some love over here. It's a safe place for everyone.
Yeah, and probably some networking and some space to talk to other people about how they keep moving their diagnosis forward and manage through the challenges of even understanding what they're battling.
Right. And we have, we don't personally facilitate those, but we have the ones we recommend. And we also have the card swap so they can meet each other, and a lot of times when you're going through something hard and you meet somebody else who's going something equally hard, but totally different, you just realize you just find kindred spirits and you just have different perspective on your days, regardless of what it looks like, whether you're bedridden or you're at the hospital getting treatments or, you're at work with a boss who doesn't understand, whatever you're going through. there's just that knowing that somebody gets it. And that's so important.
It strikes me as I listen to you that there's no, or at least very few, big pharma companies that could come up with these answers. There's few hospitals that could come up with these answers. There's few doctors who could come up with these answers. It really takes patients and caregivers to understand what patients and caregivers need. And I think that
Right.
is such an empowering reminder to every one of us who faces challenge or struggle to remember that we can catalyze that into something with positive impact if we tune into our own experience and think about how we might translate it to make the road a little better or easier for the next person.
That is so true. And I think you find that over and over, even with your podcast, the ones when they go through the hard stuff on the other side of it, they're better equipped to reach their hand back and help the other person behind them get through it. But you got to go through it in the first place, which is the part that nobody wants to do, or that, is devastating. But on the other side of it, you're just fully equipped to help in whatever way you're meant to do it.
Uplifters.
Uplifters. Yep, absolutely.
So our show is a chain of uplifters.
Yes. I love that. I love that so much.
We all need each other.
Yeah. See, yours is the new version of like the chain letter, right?
Yes. Yes. It's so funny. I actually was going to call it that in the beginning, and my friend Anna Marie was like, don't you remember how scary it was to get a chain letter? And then you felt all this like guilt and obligation.
Depending on
what
the
I don't want to be associated with that. So I just started calling it like a chain.
I love it.
But yes, totally chain letter. And it's love notes, right? It's a chance to say to the people you admire, hey, I admire you. You've made a positive impact on me, and I want other people to know about the positive impact you've made.
Yeah.
So who would you like to nominate for the Uplifters, Dawn?
I have a few that are amazing women that I'm blessed to be connected to a lot of amazing women, but the ones that come top of mind, Glenna Crooks. So Glenna is a person who has been a trailblazer, like think the start of public health and getting vaccines and getting IEPs in schools for kids, like taking care of kids has been her life's mission. She's also known as the soup angel because she shows up when there's a natural disaster. She's gallons and gallons of soup. Yeah, it's fascinating. And then also, like, the most recent thing she's done is she did an oath. Like, there's a Hippocratic oath, but she created an oath that doctors need to take when they're going to be utilizing AI and when they're going to be using all these new tools. So Glenna is in every sense a trailblazer and just absolutely amazing. And I know that you will love talking to her, and your incredible audience will love hearing from her. So
what a mover and a shaker.
I know, she's so special. And I have two people. The other person is Lisa Gable. And I always say when I grow up, I want to be like Lisa and Glenna because talk about two powerhouse women who have literally blazed these amazing trails. So Lisa was a U.S. ambassador. She was, I might not have all the facts right, but she was appointed under Reagan. She's a powerhouse in DC. The people that she knows, the committees that she sat on, she's I can't even think off the top of my head all the amazing things that she has. And now she's also, her big thing is teaching the generation behind us, because the young ones who are going to be running the world, she's a huge mentor, speaker, just seeing all the good and nurturing these young generations to become the next leaders. So, and she's done a million things in between all of that. She's also been a caregiver to her husband, who lives with an ultra rare disease, cancer, and has been on treatment for 20 plus years, and a daughter. So she's multifaceted in so many, you know, women, they have such depth and such life experiences. And I often joke that I just want to sit at the feet of Glenna and Lisa and just learn about life and, and then be them when I grow up.
We'll have
But,
to record their wisdom so that we can just listen to
yeah,
it on
right.
repeat.
You
I always say
know,
that's the best part of this job is I'm going to get to hear your story 3 times through the
mhm,
editing process. So I'm just
mhm.
going to like absorb all your donness through osmosis
Oh,
and use it in my daily choices.
oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Well, I love listening to all your episodes and some of them a couple of times, like you said, because you just things speak to you and it's just beautiful. The last person I'd love to nominate is Dr. Summer Watson. She's a community builder who's been through incredible, really hard stuff in her life, right? And she's all about mental health, building communities, taking care of people, and so she's her own uplifter and changer in a soft and beautiful way. She's awesome. So those would be my three off the top of my head.
I can't wait.
Um, and I
How
love that
extraordinary.
you're building your concentric circles bigger and bigger of all the people, and I love that I can hear someone on your podcast and then I get to listen to someone that they're connected to, and it's just all these little pulling us all together, because we are all connected. So you're actually
We
showing us
are.
in all the
And
ways
we're
that we
all
are.
facing the same fears and
Hmm.
doubts. And we need these reminders that we can have hope, that we can
Right.
overcome these challenges.
It
So,
is so true.
one of the things we love to do as uplifters is we love to uplift other uplifters. And you've already
Mm.
given us one idea, but I want a little more specifics here. How can we support you and the work of Cards to
Oh, well,
Warriors?
thank you. Thank you for that. The easiest way is that you can donate $5 and it sponsors 2 cards
Awesome.
that will go out. And the website is cards, the number 2 warriors, .org. So we use warriors instead of patients, instead of, so cards2warriors.org. Or if you're on Venmo, it's at cards2warriors. Stop, drop, and roll. We don't collect donor information. We don't send you email after email after email. We believe we're grateful, for everything that we're given, and we know if you're called, you'll come back and do it again. So Venmo, and then we do take Zelle. It's hi@cards2warriors.org. So those are all the easy ways to do it.
Amazing.
And um, yeah, thank you for wanting
Absolutely.
to
We'll
support
put
us.
those in the show notes for anybody who feels called to give. I will be donating as soon as
Mhm.
we end this call.
Oh, thank
What's
you.
next for you that you're building courage capital to do,
Yeah.
Dawn?
So as you said at the beginning, we're almost to our first big halfway point, right? So 50,000 cards, when you start thinking about that, that is that's a lot. So we'll go over the 50,000 mark, I think, by the end of August, definitely in September. And so what we really need is connections to brands that care, people that want to
Mhm.
sponsor us. Um, I'm kind of picky because I think that, well, coming from a cancer background, when the pink ribbon thing started, um, it was a marketing tool. It wasn't that these brands cared. It was that they
Mm.
realized that if they slapped a pink ribbon on it, they'd get more people to buy it. But if you read the fine print, their donation was already set. Whether you bought $100 worth of product or $1 worth of product, their donation was going to be $250,000 at the end of the campaign or whatever. So it's really important for me that we find brands that care about people that live with illness and disability and rare disease, and that they're putting good things into the world as well, because I think there's so many good ones that we want to partner with them to drop some love into the mailboxes of the warriors and the caregivers. And honestly, as impactful it is for the warriors, the ones having the treatments and going through it, the caregivers, they're so unseen. We get thank you cards from the caregivers because they're like, nobody sees it, nobody knows, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you sent me a card. It's the most heartwarming thing ever. So
How beautiful. Well, I wish you so much continued success. I'm so
thank
inspired by you, so
you. Thank
grateful that you're
you.
doing this work in the world. And you are truly an uplifter.
Thank you, Aranzis. As are you. Thank you for bringing all of us together in this beautiful community and giving us a chance to learn from each other and cheer for each other. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Uplifters podcast. If this inspired you, hit subscribe and tap the bell to stay uplifted. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs a little lift today. Big love.
Painted water sunshine with rosemary and thyme. Dwell in the perplexing, though you find it vexing. Toss a star and hover, be your own best lover. Relish in a new prime, plant a tree in springtime. Dance with idle hindsight, bring the sun to twilight.